Before the start of the 2016 edition, we asked a few people to give us the first words that come into their mind when they thought of the Graeme Daws Memorial handicap.
Handicap, Wangaratta, country racing.
Ooh, that's a hard one.
That's it, good.
Done. Thank you, Neil.
Maddie, just a couple of words on the Graeme Daws.
What were yours?
That's a hard one.
That's a hard one.
I just hope to make it through, that's it.
We've just got Hutchie here. Hutchie, can you just give us a couple of words on the Graeme Daws?
Daws.
Just on the race, mate. That's the one you're here for today.
Aye.
Got nothing. And it's a bit of an awkward sort of a distance to the line. If you sort of unhitch everyone on the climb, it's sort of possible to make the finish, but you know, probably a little bit too far. So it's a pretty interesting handicap course. So yeah, I really like this one. It's a pity I'm not racing.
Right, here we have the race underway. So this is the scratch group here. You can see Quinny on my wheel here coming through. So rolling through, just getting nice and smooth turns. The scratch bunch worked brilliantly throughout the day. So this is just the start of them settling into the pace, making sure that everyone's feeling good and just looking after each other in this early section. So still just with the scratch punch here, Tomasz Lockie coming over the top there for his turn. This is the back section of the course and the fastest part of the course. So along here we really need to focus on putting some pressure on the pedals and trying to keep it nice and tight. Not letting any of us sort of have to fight too hard for the wheel, keeping it close, rolling it over, putting a little bit of pressure, like I said, on the pedals and really starting to put some time into that block group. So this is a really important section here once you've got over that first little climb, and this is where the time is really needing to be pinned back, and we worked really well. We've actually got Charlie McMillan here as well. He dropped his chain off the start and dropped back from the block group into ours, and he gave us a good 10 minutes of chopping off along this section, which is probably one of the most important parts before the climb. So this is just the final part of the climb here. We've caught the block group. I've just dropped back and sort of had a bit of a word to the guys, trying to hype them up to get them all working together. You also hear me have a bit of a yell here, just telling the guys not to worry about people jamming off the front, but just roll behind them, keeping it smooth and keeping focused.
Keep rolling nice and smooth, don't worry about people tagging. Just keep rolling, boys, keep rolling. If someone jumps off the front, don't worry about it, just roll behind. Roll over, Tomasz.
So we've got over the top of the climb now, and we're just starting the descent down in towards the finish. So still about 20 k's to go. We've got a few bunches left to catch. We're just trying to hype everyone up and keep them all rolling nice and smooth. In this section we want to try and get everyone we can, all the block guys, working together in order to catch this next bunch. Once we get there, then we can start worrying about attacking or whatever we want to do with the finish. But before that, we've got to get there, catch these last guys. So this is actually just the same section of the descent, but just looking from the rear camera. So before the start of the race, Neil put a camera on the front and the back of my bike, so I had a bit of a view of everything as we were going along. I turned it on in a few of the key parts, so the descent was one of them, and you can just see a few of the boys there just trying to get down nice and fast, move down this descent and catch the last of these groups. Now we've got to the bottom of the descent and we've caught all of the remaining riders out on the road. So now everyone is together. We've got all the bunches. Here you can see on my wheel, Maddie right. So Maddie was on the third limit bunch, so the third bunch to go off. And she's just decided to stick on my wheel. She's following me around a lot. I didn't realise until afterwards, but now that I look back, we noticed Maddie was just, she was marking me, and she wasn't too happy about letting me get go. A little bit later on, we'll see a little bit of a move of Maddie, which is quite impressive. Not so great for my race, but pretty impressive for the strength of this new rider on the scene. So you might notice here that I'm actually not rolling through. So you can see Maddie sitting there on the wheel and Tomash on mine on the other side there. And you can notice that none of them are actually rolling over. Now what's happening is there is a few guys up the front rolling over, but because we have now caught everyone, there's no need to be really jamming it to try and make sure we get to the front. All the race is together. So now people are starting to think a little bit, planning on when they're going to make a move. Now, a few of the scratch guys, we decided we wanted to try and make a pretty hard sort of finish, so we started to 1-2 a little bit. Here you can see this move's just coming back after Tomash has done a nice attack. Now, I've gone over the top, taken the opportunity as it balked up and slowed down to carry some momentum and make an attack myself. Now, this is the little move I was telling you about before when we said we had to watch out for Maddie. So here I go. I've made a little bit of a jump, get myself to the corner up here and swing around. Only to realise that I've already been brought back. Now I looked back a couple of times and saw a little bit of a black jersey coming towards me and was like, oh, who's that? I don't know who that is. And it took me a little while to realise that it was actually Maddie. And yeah, she brought me back very, very quickly. So this is the view from the front, and now we'll just switch across. You'll see Tomash actually counter-attacking here. So as I come back, boom, he goes again to try and really mix things up. Now we'll go back and we'll actually watch Maddie chase me down. So here we are. So we've got Maddie just sitting on the wheel there as I've come through. Now this is just before there's a bit of a balk. So Tomash has just made an attack. He's come back, they've caught him, it slows down. As it has slowed down, I've taken that opportunity to keep my momentum, to make a run and go. And so I must be coming up close to these wheels now before making the move. Maddie's just still trying to hold on to me there, making sure I don't get too far away. Now as we come up on these last riders, there it is. I've used the momentum, there was a slowing, and I've gone bang. And you'll see everyone's get a nice little gap there, and Maddie just on the left is just pulling over the top. She gets, I think, Hutchie on a wheel there, and away she goes. She pulls along, and Suddy, I think, there is as well. Suddy was saying that he was finding it pretty hard on Maddie's wheel. Hutchie saying that he was doing 500 watts at this stage on the wheel behind Maddie. Now, this is me trying to get away. I wasn't 100% sure where the finish was, so I think it could be around this corner, and was hoping to slip off, and it was a good move, but Maddie has neutralised it completely. Now here goes Tomash. He's taken the opportunity as I've come to bang, to counter over the top and try and get away again. So you can see here how it's really strung out. You'll often see in the Tour de France them talking about it being nice and strung out, and that's when you know it's hard. And here you can see a few of the guys just trying to get over the top. That's what we were looking for, to make it really tough. Now we've just jumped onto the actual finishing straight now. So you can see it slowed up a bit. None of those moves quite got away, and slowed up now, and a few guys have filtered forward to sort of get in on the action. So it's quite a good little section here, this last run in to watch. We've got a few riders there. You can see Brad Rose on the left with the yellow bike. He's always one to watch. And I'm just jumping in behind him there, trying to get a little bit of a sit. And I'm pretty stuffed actually at this stage after trying to make a couple of moves and get going. So here I've decided, well, I'm not really sure where the finish is, but I better move up a little bit. And I was going to try and sort of get Hutchie there, who was on my left on the wheel, another one of the scratch riders, to see if we couldn't sort of make a bit of a move if Tom didn't manage to win. So here we can see Tom is actually let out very early. He started to go at about 80% and then kicks again. Now, at first I thought, oh boy, this might not be great for the scratch group. He might not be able to hold it. And I'm starting to fade, so I didn't have enough to actually do anything. And Hutchie was also starting to fade, so we weren't much use. But Tom there has managed to kick very, very well and has held off the guys all the way to the line. You can see the line coming up now. He's just managed to get it. The hand goes up in the air, and a great rate. We'll cut across now to talk to Tom, then to Tomash on the scratch group, and finally to Maddie, the winning female, and on to why she chased me down. Here we are with Tom. We actually ended up the winner of the day. Tom, can you run us through just your final sprint there?
Yeah, sort of. Tomasz was giving me a beautiful lead out. He had the pace nice and high to keep the bunch reasonably well strung out. And sort of I was watching back over my shoulder and just saw them start to fan out across the road and thought, we might need to get going here. And so yeah, stepped out and got beside Tomasz, and they're all sort of then starting to get a bit jittery. And so I was like, I might just hit it out now and just see what everyone's got.
One of the best scratch bunches I've been with. We kept it together all day and kept it together up the hill, good pace all day.
I just find some of the riders, they get a bit arrogant. They think, you know, I'm it in a bit, I'm just going to hit everyone and, you know, win the race. And I just think that's a little bit unfair for the rest of us. So I felt it was my duty to really just bring this jerk back.